Welcome to the Black Doctors Talk podcast. I am Dr. Christopher Holmes, host for this episode and member of the Black Doctoral Network. Today's guest, you guys are going to enjoy. I am joined by Dr. Charli Brown, who is a transformative transpersonal trainer and consultant. Yeah, get into that. Welcome, Dr. Brown.
Thank you, Dr. Holmes. I'm so appreciative of the opportunity to be here with you today.
No, thank you so much for joining me. I can't wait for you to share with the viewers and listeners the powerful work that you do and to really inform them on what you do and why you exist. And so this is going to be really great. So let's begin by just telling the viewers and the listeners, where did it all begin for you?
Actually, Dr. Holmes, it began in the 11th grade, believe it or not.
That was 5 years ago.
My mom told me, no, before that, I went to a very academically demanding high school, and we were always stressed out. I managed track and cross country, and what we found was that the girls had their best times in the 9th or the 10th grade. And then we kind of declined. The juniors and seniors were always stressed out. And so something in my 11th grade brain said, there has to be more than this. So I started asking questions as I do. And I was talking to my mother, and she said that in a class in college, they bent spoons. And I said, Mom, you have been holding out on me all this time. And from there, I started to learn about alternative healing modalities such as Reiki, massage therapy as well. But really, I was interested in the energy of things. How is it that all of this stuff works? And so I kind of start that as the beginning of the journey that I've been on ever since, because I had no idea what Reiki even was. It's an energy modality, but this world of energy and alternative healing modalities was really, really interesting to me. And so I've been on this path, been on this journey ever since I asked that question of my mother in the 11th grade many moons ago.
Wow. This is going to be good. So let's start here. What are the aspects of the whole person that people may not even be aware of?
So my doctorate is in integral and transpersonal psychology. And the transpersonal part is this mind, body, spirit, and environment connection. So my doctorate is essentially in integrating the mind, body, spirit, and environment of a person. What we think of as traditional psychology is kind of asking what's wrong with your head or what's wrong with your brain. Transpersonal psychology says what happened to have you, this very person in this very moment, standing or sitting in front of me or next to me. So it's a culmination of all of the things that have happened in anyone's life to get them to this moment right here, right now. So that is what I cite as the holistic nature of kind of what I do. I'm not looking at I'm not asking what is wrong with your head. I'm saying, I'm very curious about what got you to this moment in time.
Wow. Okay. So with that being said, can you share with us what the tools are for the psychosocial emotional integration that is the focus of your work?
That's kind of a trick question.
Okay.
In the transpersonal view, the psychosocial and emotional, they're all the same. They're all different aspects of you, of the you-ness that makes you you. Some of the tools I use are energy modalities. And there's something called energy medicine, which Donna Eden pioneered. I also use Dr. Sue Morter's framework, which is energy medicine plus. It's quite a bit to get into in a short discussion like this, but really taking these aspects of ourselves. So many of the tools I use, I've cultivated for myself. Some of them are just adapted from other people as well. Our bodies give us continuous information, we mostly have been taught to ignore that information. So many of the tools that I utilize tap us back into what our body is saying and helping us make decisions from there, but also helping us maybe digest life from that position as well.
Wow. How is it that we can maybe listen better to our bodies? Maybe sometimes things happen. Many of us will sometimes avoid or not recognize things that are going on, think all that just happened. But like you said, our bodies are telling us something. How can we tap into being better listeners of our bodies?
Start small. Intuition is pretty popular. We mostly ignore that too. Our intuition is designed to keep us safe. Now, there's two versions of that. Sometimes if one bad thing happened when we were 4, our body says, never again. And it stops you from doing anything that remotely looks like that ever again. Calming that part down. A way to calm that, that's called your triple warmer, which is one of the energy systems in your body. If you put your fingers on your temples and just kind of run them back over your ears and off your shoulders a couple of times, that helps to calm that. I will keep you safe forever and ever. That general, that'll calm that general down. Listening to your intuition, saying, okay, even if you just acknowledge it that first time or the first couple of times, say, I hear you. I'm going to do the opposite of it, but I hear you and I hear you. So that's another shifting from either or, but changes the direction of a sentence and changing that to and. Both and is a really excellent paradigm to understand the paradox of things. So understanding and acknowledging first when you're in a situation where you have this inkling, and maybe you're not in a situation where you can follow the inkling just this moment, but acknowledging it really does begin the reconnection. We're really remembering of that connection. Connection didn't go anywhere. It's just like anything. If you've dampened something so many times, it will stop speaking up.
Yeah.
So paying attention to those things in our bodies is a great first step.
All right. So you just heard it, everybody. Being dismissive of the feeling does not help you. If you do nothing else, simply acknowledge it until you can do something about it. I love that acknowledgement of whatever that energy in your body is telling you. So the work that you do, the purpose of it is to get people to their highest impact. Would you agree?
Yes.
So what do you believe is the outcome when people are able to operate at that level?
It sounds big, and maybe it is. I really, truly, deeply believe that each of us operating at our highest impact level is what we need in this world right now. There are millions of people who hate their jobs and hate their lives for whatever combination of reasons any given person may have. And that doesn't serve anyone.
Yeah.
When we are operating at our best, we're operating in our zone or zones, we're like, oh, this is my lane of genius. Then everything gets better. Then you're making decisions that you should be making. You're not making decisions you shouldn't be making. And other people are doing the same. So really this idea of if each individual is at their best, the collective is operating at its best. So the impact can be really profound. For women in particular, it's not only women, but women seem to engage with this a little bit more than men do. We have been taught to not listen to ourselves at all, to not honor ourselves and honor our bodies and honor our thoughts in any way. And so us doing that, because I really believe that it is women who will move us out of this. I believe that men got us to this point, and it's time to let the women take over and do what women do, which is pull together all these different pieces and synthesize and move and really be the fullest versions of ourselves, the wholest versions of ourselves in this very moment. That may be different from the next very moment, but right here, right now, how can I be full? How can I be whole?
So tell me, I'm glad you brought that up, especially with your focus on women. What drove you to that place where you wanted to um, build your foundation of your background and work with holistic understanding by focusing on women?
Also, a good story. I once worked in a community center, and that was a really transformative position in my career. It was actually a scheduling glitch. We only had 8 computers, and I had 15 kids. And I had to figure out a way to separate them with the least amount of pushback. I couldn't do it by grade. I had some like multi-grade pairs and they would give me pushback. I also had whatever it was. The best solution was to divide them out by sex. And I talked with the girls while the boys were in the computer lab, and I brought in a man to talk to my boys. And whoa, was that conversation needed.
Wow.
To give teenage girls a trusted adult female to just talk to just have access to and be present for. And it was fulfilling for me as well, certainly. And really from there, understanding that I do believe that women are the answer. I also have a master's degree in women's spirituality. And so that certainly informs my perspective as well. I describe my master's degree as a master's in my own emotional awareness, and my doctorate as taking that own emotional awareness, taking that personal emotional awareness and bringing it out to the larger world. And as I stated earlier, women have been told and shown that they're not, and really we are. We are. Everything that can come after we are is what women are. Women have been doing all of the work without the credit for probably millennia.
And it's time to give them their credit now.
And
I agree wholeheartedly with you. Who in this work has had the biggest impact on you in your career?
no, I used to think I didn't have mentors. And I was struggling and kind of longing for this relationship. And then I looked around and said, oh, these are the women who have shaped me really at each stage in my life, starting from about 5th grade. It's mostly the Black women, teachers and educators and women of that sort who really made an impact on me. I can see in hindsight how these specific words into my ear helped to move me along a path that I couldn't, at 11, 10, I think I was 9 when I started 5th grade. Wasn't necessarily thinking, oh, this is going to move me in a career trajectory. My 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Frances Turner, she was really impactful. She kind of made Africa cool. She was always in an African dress. Her hair was a really short afro. And that was at a time when we didn't have this whole natural hair journey. None of that was around at that time. So that was really impactful. And then again in 7th grade, Julie Woodland, my math teacher, this Black woman teaching me math in this predominantly white prestigious high school, middle school, high school, same place, was really profound. And she's the first person who really understood me as a math nerd. My graduate degrees don't look like math at all.
Right, not at all.
But I have a business undergrad, so that it was in there. I did the organized thing in undergraduate, and then got a lot less organized in graduate school. So there were others. Dr. Pat Saunders in college as well was really impactful. So it was untrue. It was untrue that I didn't have mentors. I just maybe needed a broader definition of who and what that could look like. And so they've been there. They've been there throughout. I have moved a lot, and so I adopt grandparents in places. So some of my adopted grandparents in some places are also really impactful as I continue to move along my own trajectory.
Well, let me ask you this, because I'm sure there have been some challenges in the work that you do, especially just that you moved a lot. And so relationships and moving and interactions probably have been difficult. But what's one thing you wish you would have known earlier on in your career?
I think that the journey is really important. That each step on the journey is exactly where you need to be in order to get to the next step of the journey.
Yeah,
Um,
that's powerful. And what is one thing you will tell this young Black girl who's watching you and she says, wow, I really want to be like Dr. Charli Brown? What would be one piece of advice you would give to her?
Hold on, sweetheart. My journey has not been, it's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
My master's degree in particular was 2 years straight of just being in deep spiritual circle with other women. Somewhere in the middle, we said to our professors, y'all didn't tell us it was going to be like this. They said, yes, we did. We were like, okay, if you say so. So really trusting yourself, trust that you do know how to make decisions, that you do know how to make good decisions for yourself. That may not be someone else's version of what that looks like, and you still know how to make good decisions for yourself. So I think that we collectively expect that our life is like our social media feed. And I would say if you take that back a generation, I used to think that I was confused rather that life was not like it was on television. Particularly through getting through difficult things. On a 90s sitcom, there'd be a problem. The two parties, is generally just two parties. The two parties, one of them might be more wrong, clearly wrong, and the other one, and there's usually misinformation, but both parties were willing to sit down and talk about it.
Yeah.
And so I did understand that it wasn't going to happen in 30 minutes or 60 minutes. I understood that the timetable was crunched, but I was very confused that the other party might not at all be wanting to sit down and talk about it.
Yeah.
So now in social media land, it's even worse, I would say. We absolutely see the highlight reels and we're comparing a low day to somebody else's highlight reel, which may or may not even be real. In all honesty. So I would also say unplug, actually. That's hard to say to a young Black girl at this day and age, because they've never known a time when there wasn't technology and social media. And it's really important for our well-being and our nervous system to not be always connected to technology.
Wow. I'm just sitting here thinking like that. You tell a young girl that she would have a mental breakdown just by saying unplug.
She would, and you got to start small. Like, can you not touch your phone for 5 minutes?
Yeah, I think my
you leave it in the other room for 5 minutes. But that's also asking them. The work I did in my dissertation was asking Black teenage girls how they feel about themselves, and so what they taught me was that they think of technology more broadly, kind of the way you and I might think of like our arm. It's literally an appendage. It's literally an extension of themselves. And so there's identity issues that go with that as well. So
wow. So I know you've had challenges. You shared a little bit of those. What would you say has been your biggest accomplishment to date?
Probably my dissertation, completing it, finishing a dissertation. A good dissertation is a done dissertation.
Yeah.
And also really staying true to who I think I am, and being okay with that 98, 99% of the time. I would say those go hand in hand. I expected me to finish my dissertation. But a dissertation is, I think a doctorate in general is very romanticized in general. And it's a lot of hard work.
It is.
And persistence and many, many, many difficult days and hard no's that you have to find a way around. And so it's a great exercise in problem solving, and perhaps expectations.
I've never heard anybody say that before. It's a great exercise in problem solving.
Yes. Yes.
I'm going to use that.
Yes. And completing a dissertation, though, completing a doctorate, I literally feel like I can do just about anything you got. I can probably manage it, because it was just a lot of navigating on a level I was not prepared for.
Yeah.
Not prepared. I mean, I've got prepared for it. I wasn't expecting. I would say it's more accurate.
So tell me this, what skills have you had to use or pull out in order to reach some of your goals? Not so much just a dissertation, just other things you've set forth to do and you've done them. What skills were needed in order to do that?
Having a timeline, being flexible with my timeline, and being able to adjust my timeline. I would set timers for my master's thesis. Almost killed me. I did thesis marathons where I was writing 12, 14, 16 hours a day. And I said, I can't do my doctorate this way. I'm not going to survive that. So I would set a timer. I figured out finally that about 2.25 hours was my focus time. And then sometimes I'd set the timer and would play. So I usually would set the timer for 3 hours so I could allow my playtime. That playtime was necessary to allow it. So being able to adjust my expectations for what is right now, every single step had different expectations and therefore had a change of schedule. Mm-hmm. So I'd finish one part and try to do the same thing in the next part. That didn't work. So having to be flexible in that way and still being in service to the greater plan of what I'm trying to do. My timeline is not always a divine timeline.
Okay. So I read this, and so I definitely had to ask you about this. What would you say is the key to a good life?
No, for me, a good life is really about good people, good food, and good conversation.
I love it. Good food, good conversations, and good, what was the last one? Good people.
Now I can't have a good conversation with the food. I can, but you know,
if it's good enough, I don't know. I think I've talked to a couple of meals before, and I think they come back to me.
Listen, I made just today. I had some strawberry muffins and fresh strawberry jam, and I was talking to that food. Absolutely, you're right. You are right.
I love it. Remember that: good food, good people, good conversations. People, that is the key to a good life. Dr. Brown said it. You can buy it and believe in it. So thank you for that. And that's free, y'all. She didn't charge y'all for that.
Not yet.
Not yet. So take it now. So tell me a little bit about how your affiliation with the Black Doctoral Network has enhanced your career.
First of all, the camaraderie has been amazing. I joined the Black Doctoral Network a couple of years ago, went to a conference, and that conference was really, it was the first time I had gotten to be in my element in such a full way. Oh, you talk about Black excellence. It's literally everywhere you look. Every single corner of a gathering, any gathering of the Black doctors in the Black Doctoral Network is just, it is brilliance personified, many-fold, 1,000-fold, a couple hundred-fold. So people's interests are on display. The presentations are always excellent. The keynotes are absolutely out of this world. One of those keynotes was a connection that I continue to pursue. And as we connected further, that opened up doors for teaching. And teaching, I enjoy teaching. I've been an educator all of my life. And so I really do enjoy the give and take that is teaching. Mm-hmm. And so that connection directly opened that door to get me into college teaching. And so that has been tremendous and profound. and a steep learning curve with online. The program is online anyway. So even in light of the pandemic, my classes would have been online. So that was then learning a learning management system that, I used that maybe 5 or 6 years ago before it had all these bells and whistles.
Right.
So it was quite a steep learning curve. And I remember that I enjoy learning. It was a steep learning curve, and I'm really excited about having begun to cultivate this new skill set as well.
Wow.
And all of that from the BDN conference, but just the people and the building of relationships with other spectacularly brilliant Black folks has really been amazing. You arrive at this place and you're like, oh, I couldn't necessarily have named what I was looking for, but this is it. So really the BDN has been very instrumental in just moving me forward professionally and understanding that I have peers, that I have colleagues with varying fields and varying interests and varying connections to other institutions. So it has really been an amazing, we're still toward the beginning of this journey, I'm going to say. So, but it's really been amazing so far. And I'm absolutely looking forward to all that is to come as we continue to move forward as a professional body.
Well, we are so excited to have you be a part of BDN. Your expertise and your experience definitely adds to our flavor of this organization. Thank you again for joining me today. It has been a pleasure talking with you. Will you please tell our viewers and listeners where they can go and learn more about you and the work that you're doing?
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Holmes. A pleasure. Yes, a pleasure indeed. This has been. You can find me on either my website, drcharlibrown.com, Facebook and Instagram, both at Dr. Charli Brown. That's Charlie with just an I and Brown like the color.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you again. Please be sure to stay connected to the Black Doctoral Network as well by joining us on all of our social media channels. Thank you for joining us today for the Black Doctors Talk podcast. We hope you will join us again next time. But for now, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to please tell a friend. Until next time, thank you guys so much.